Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday. It is brisk this morning, currently 28 degrees, but it's going to be a high of around 59, so almost 60 degrees later. And this evening, there's a 60% chance of rain um, coming in like after dinner time. And 5:53 is the sunrise, 7:42 is the sunset. So um, we're going to do some topical um, studies this week. And so I think this week I want to get into, and I'll start, and we'll just see where things go, um, on reaping and sowing. The primarily, um, sowing, and we'll see how that turns into reaping later. But let's start with sowing. And I want to start with, I know this is going to might ring in some of your ears since we've just been doing this for the last like 6 weeks, but John. We're going to start in John, and John chapter 1, and let's pick up in verse 44. John 1:44. Okay, John 1:44. And so now Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and said to him, "We have found him of whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." So, okay, they're sowing, right? Jesus, he called Andrew and Peter. Now they're out sowing. They found Nathanael, and they're calling him. Now, listen to Nathanael's response. Nathanael said to him, verse 46. Nathanael said to him, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Philip said to him, "Come and see." Okay? So, Nathanael was skeptical. He was skeptical. He didn't believe, but listen, now watch. And so he says, "Come and see." Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him and said to him, "Behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom there is no deceit, in whom there is no guile." So he was willing to follow. Though he was skeptical, his heart was not hard, right? His heart was not hard to go and see, right? The scriptures don't say not to research, not to go into study, not to yearn to know him more, right? It never says that, right? Paul says, like, be like the Bereans, right? Be like the Bereans. He went and he preached the word, and they were skeptical like this, but they went and searched the scriptures themselves. Okay? So if you're willing, right? If you're willing and not hard-hearted, right? There's no guile, no deceit. There's no ulterior motives, right? There's no holding myself up because and ignoring the Lord's call. So, in whom there is no deceit, Nathanael said to him, "How do you know me?" And Jesus answered him, "Before Philip called you, when you were under the fig tree, I saw you." So Jesus saw him. Jesus knows us. He's been known us. But so let's hang out here on this. In whom there is no deceit. Okay, in whom there is no deceit. um, so let's look at this sowing. All right, let's look at sowing. So let's turn to Job. Job 4 and verse 8. Let's flip over to Job. Um, Job Psalms, right? Right before Psalms. Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job. All right, so verse 8. So here, the story of Job, just to recap. So Job essentially loses everything to the devil, even his physical health. And so his friends come to console him, console him, and they're speaking to him. And here, Eliphaz, and he's speaking, and he's this is in English. um, we teach like the way you make these statements. This is like a rhetorical um, strategy, a rhetorical strategy to convince or to change one's mind, right? It's as kind of argumentative slash persuasive, trying to be, okay. And so he Eliphaz speaks. Actually, let's just pick up in I don't know, verse 4. It says, "Your words have upheld him who was stumbling, and you have made firm and feeble that have made firm the feeble knees." Sowing, and he's talking to Job specifically. So Job has um, helped people. He's given people a word when they were stumbling, when they were weak. He's lifted people up. He's been sowing, but now it has come to you, and you are impatient. It touches you, and you are dismayed. Is not your fear of God your confidence, and the integrity of your ways your hope? Okay, so the integrity of your ways, how you conduct yourself in these times when things are against you, um, he's dismayed, and you know we it's okay to be disappointed, y'all, especially when bad things are happening, right? It is okay. We are human. You know, it's hard in the moment to find the joy in the various trials and the manifold temptations. Looking back on it, I would hope that you see the joy after you've learned where you were sanctified. But what man likes to be chastened? No man likes to be chastened. Okay? So is your fear is not your fear of God your confidence, right? So he's saying like these things are happening, God's letting it. So let that be your confidence. That's where your confidence should come from, is your fear of the Lord, especially in these times. Now remember, verse 7. Remember, who that was innocent ever perished? Has anybody who is innocent ever perished? That's a good question, because none of us are innocent. None of us are innocent. So anybody who's perished is not innocent, okay? Right? Now our sins are forgiven if you're saved, and the Lord has opened your heart and you receive His call and you receive Him and you submit to His word and keeping His commandments, like we talked about the last 6 weeks in John, right? We are justified when we're saved. That means the scales are balanced into the just proportion, okay? But we do have to walk a life of repentance until we go home and we're totally glorified. All right. Um, or, remember, who that was innocent ever perished, or, or where were the upright cut off? As I have seen, those who plow iniquity and sow trouble reap the same. Okay. Those who plow iniquity and sow trouble reap the same. So he's trying to say, because Job has reaped these things, he believes he's sowed trouble and plowed iniquity, right? And now, this is pretty true. Okay, this is pretty true. However, bad things happen to good people all the time. Bad things happen to the righteous, to the just as the unjust, to the justified as the unjustified, to the righteous to the unrighteous. These things happen. Why? For the strengthening of our faith, right? For the strengthening of our faith. I mean, that is the one of the background lessons from Jesus's teaching when He resurrected Lazarus. Okay, so, but overall, right? This is a big piece to sowing and reaping, and why it's important for there to be no deceit, no guile in our heart, right? Because those who plow iniquity and sow trouble reap the same. All right, so now let's bounce over to Proverbs. Job, Psalm, Proverbs. Okay, chapter 6 and verse 14. Now, Proverbs is a set of maxims, so individual sayings. Most of them are just, one verse, one or two verses. Um, there's only a few maxims in the Proverbs that are, three or more verses, okay? So here we might not have to go back as far to, we can probably just stick to one or two verses to, um, get the meaning or get the purpose behind it. So 6:14, Proverbs 6:14. Um, that's funny. Let's go to 6:12. 6:12. So a worthless person, a wicked man, goes about with crooked speech, winks with his eyes, signals with his feet, points with his finger, with perverted heart devises evil, continually sowing discord. Okay, sowing discord. So, what is in our heart, right? Who, a worthless person, right? A wicked man goes about with crooked speech, okay, with perverted, winks with his eyes, with his feet, points with his finger, right? Um, Makes it kind of easy, or pointing somebody out, or pointing in the wrong direction, um, or the who yells louder to make their point, right? Anyway, all that stuff. Continually sowing discord. They continually sow discord. Look what happens in verse 15. Therefore, calamity will come upon him suddenly. In a moment, he will be broken beyond healing. So, if you sow in discord as a worthless person or a wicked man, right, and you go about pointing people in the wrong direction, or flattering people with discord, or for selfish or deceitful purposes, right? In whose heart there is no deceit. Look, look. Therefore, calamity will come upon him. Calamity will come upon him. Proverbs 16:28. Proverbs 16:28. I'm gonna keep it moving as best I can, you guys. Um, a dishonest man spreads strife, and a whisperer separates close friends. A dishonest man spreads or sows, right? Sows, plants strife, right? It's what is in our heart, right? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Um, so what's in our heart impacts or affects what we sow, right? It impacts or affects what we sow. Now, going back to the John passage, um, Peter, right? Peter and Andrew, or sorry, Philip, Peter and Philip, they they were converted, right? They were following Jesus, and so when Philip went to Nathanael, right? He was sowing not to spread strife, right? He was sowing not to spread strife, right? And so in that question, when he questioned him, what good could come from Nazareth? It was not in it was not a seed in strife, right? So he still, though he said that, he went to follow, right? Now, when you sow those seeds in strife for the wrong reasons, the return on that might not be the same. Okay, the return on that might not be the same. All right, 26, Proverbs 26. We got a few more verses. We're not gonna, you know what? We'll stop there because we're out of time. But so what's in the heart, right? What's in the heart? What When we sow, when we plant seeds, what are we doing it for? Are we doing it for our own gain, right? To say, oh, um, you know, I got this man saved, or it's because of what I did they were saved. No, man, it's because of God's sovereignty they were saved, and it's because you were submissive with a pure heart to God to act upon that opportunity that he placed you in, to work things, all things for the good, for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. And how are you acting? How am I acting? What's in my heart? Is my heart to serve him and walk according to his purpose? If so, things will be worked for the good for me. If not, the person that I plant the seed for might be working for the good for them. And whatever evil is in my heart might be working for their belief and their good according to his purpose. Not his purpose, but his purpose. It's so this sowing and reaping, though it's not complicated, is extremely complicated because it's impacted by the hearts of men and what's in our heart, right? What's in our heart? Is there deceit? Is there guile in our heart? All right, let's pick up tomorrow. Remember, if there's anything you guys want to talk about or go into, throw it in the comments or put it in the chat. All right, you guys, have a good day.